Life has got no meaning aside from the meaning you assign to it. Hello and welcome to The Man Who Kept Dying. I hope everything's going well wherever you are and that you're having a great or a grand day. I am starting a new series of videos about different topics that I've learned, that I've experienced over the past few months, and that I believe would be interesting to share with you. Some of them relating to emotions, and of course, there always is, as is the case with me, a spiritual component to it too. I'm not forgetting, I'm also planning, once I've finished this series of videos, to do a Q&A about the novel, The Man Who Kept Dying, and cover some of the questions I've received in the comments of those videos. But this Q&A could take quite a while to prepare and also to record. So right now, I'd rather do those shorter videos. And that's also what my heart appeal is. So I'm following my heart in that sense and really going after what I desire to do, as simple as that. So just to give you a bit of context, this year, 2024, is a year in which a lot of things are being shaken up. Not just for me, I can see it everywhere around me, not for everyone, but nonetheless, it is a year in which, despite all my spiritual understanding of the nature of reality, I've learned even a lot more. Not necessarily at face value for the right reasons. And I will tell you and share with you that I've gone through quite a lot, emotionally and psychologically this year. Not physically, I'm good, although I may have lost a few kilograms as a result of everything I went through. So for the eagle-eye viewers among you, you may have noticed that I'm not wearing a wedding ring anymore. And the reason for that is simply because my partner and I are separated. I won't share more details because the rest of the story will be quite personal and it doesn't need to be in the public domain. But this separation has forced me to really take a hard look at myself and look at all my behaviors, patterns, and anything I could change about myself, or that I was not doing right, or that was not where I was not being the best version of myself. And I can say that talking about being the best version of myself, I also remember one morning simply waking up and having this just sentence in my mind that says, it's time to be the best version of yourself now, Vincent. Not long after, everything started to go the way it went. But now that a few months have gone by, I can also look back at everything that has happened, everything I've learned, and I think I would like to share a few nuggets from these experiences because a lot of them at the end of the day do relate to the understanding of reality as humans on this planet, as simple as that. And the first video, or the first point I would like to cover is the fact that, yes, indeed, life is meaningless aside from the meaning you assign to it. So, when everything happened this year, because I've also lost my cat about a month ago, and that was a very painful episode to go through, what I've understood with regards to myself is I had a deep childhood trauma. As I was explaining in the video of chapter 30, when in the chapter in depth series, basically I'm not good with endings, and now I've discovered why I was not. So when all those situations started to happen, basically there was one thing I understood, and that was the fact that energy exists in a neutral state. That I knew. And I've always understood it quite conceptually, although I've lived it. But what has happened for me over the past few months has really helped me go through the experience of applying that conceptual understanding. And it is a sentence I've heard from Bashar, who was explaining that situations in themselves do not carry anything. It is the meaning that you're going to assign to each and every situation that is going to change the outcome of that situation, change the perception of what is happening, change the reality that you're creating for yourself, so to speak. And of course, we've all observed the difference between someone who's a glass half full person and someone who's a glass half empty person, and how their lives always unfold in a very different way. Even though they go through the exact same situation, one will keep moaning about how negative it was, whereas the other one will just move on or see the positive in every situation. And it is quite interesting because going through that notion of separation, I was faced with two choices. First one, have a negative approach. Take it quite badly, be pessimistic about it, and just like commiserate in a way. Or I could take a positive approach and say, well, maybe it's happening for a reason, and maybe this is the opportunity to look at yourself, Vincent, and see, what's your responsibility, what is your share of responsibility in that situation, what could you have done differently, or why did you behave in a certain way at some point, and so on. So I'm not talking about anything like extremely negative there. I'm just talking about me as a person going into my own behaviors, patterns, childhood traumas perhaps, and why I was acting a certain way for most of my life. Where were my fears coming from? Why would I sometimes be extremely confident in some situations, but sometimes not? And all those different things. And it really boiled down to that idea of, all right, I'm going to take that situation in a positive, constructive way. Whatever is being thrown at me, I'm always trying to get that positive outlook, even though it's painful at times, even though it's highly emotional at times, even though I've never really asked for it, or so I thought. Well, I've got no choice but to face the music. So let's just go and try to see what positive outlook I can bring to that. And indeed, this attitude of always trying to assign a positive, or always assigning a positive meaning to every situation, has helped me tremendously, because I've been able to uncover some of my deep-seated childhood traumas, hidden memories I had no idea even existed, or could not just access. When you have something that you know but you cannot really quite access it, well, there it was, being able to do that. I've worked with a therapist to help me do that, so I was quite active in that action, or in that sense. But it is one thing that I will always carry with me now, the fact that, yes, every situation is always neutral, and even when you're going through something that you consider to be a negative situation, I'm always telling myself, you are at the right place at the right time. There is something to extract from it. Perhaps not right away, but you will look back at it and say, okay, did I behave in my best way? Was I the best person? Okay, maybe I was not at that moment, but that's because of that. So I'm not going to repeat that situation. I'm going to become the better person. I'm going to be the best person I can be. If anything, for myself and for other people too. So there's not much more to say about this video. I will continue and do other videos to cover other topics. And these other topics will be such as exploring the importance of belief systems, the importance of becoming your authentic self, because society does everything to not let us be authentic. Few people are, but not many in my belief systems. Having a positive mindset and positive outlook on life. Accepting and letting go of situations, because that's the fastest way to actually become a different person. The fact that life is a mirror and is constantly sending you opportunities to have a look at yourself through that mirror effect. The fact that, yes, there have been days where it was very, very difficult, but when you still wake up in the morning, there's a reason to it. I will share that. And lastly, to finish that sort of series of videos on a very spiritual concept, the importance of water, and the fact that I now have confirmation that the element of water is so very important in our spirit form, and that's the way we are experiencing being a human now. stay tuned, more videos coming up. I hope you enjoyed the sort of shorter format. I had to do a bit of an introduction to it, of course, just to set up the scenes. I'm not forgetting about the Q&A for those of you who are really interested in knowing more about my perspective on lots of different topics that are being covered in the novel The Man Who Kept Dying. So stay tuned. A lot of upcoming videos in the coming weeks. And I wish you a great rest of the day, wherever you are. And of course, I have to tell you, until next time, be conscious, my friends.